Picture this, it's 10,000 years ago. A man lies still, surrounded by his tribe. A healer, holding a sharp piece of flint, leans over him and begins to cut. Not into his arm or his leg, but directly into his skull. This isn't a scene from a fantasy novel. This is the story of the world's first brain surgeons. What you're about to see will completely change how you think about our Stone Age ancestors. They weren't just cavemen. They were pioneers of medicine. Let's start with the hard evidence. This is a skull from the Neolithic period, around 10,000 years old. See this perfectly round hole? This isn't an injury from a weapon. This is trepanation, the deliberate act of drilling a hole into the skull. Archaeologists were stunned when they first found skulls like this, but what shocked them even more was the smooth, rounded edge of the bone around the hole. That's a clear sign of healing. It means the patient didn't just survive the operation. They lived for years, maybe even decades afterward. This wasn't a clumsy, desperate act. It was a calculated, successful surgical procedure. How on earth did they do it? Forget steel scalpels and sanitized operating rooms. The tools of a Stone Age surgeon were deceptively simple, yet lethally effective. Imagine sharp fragments of obsidian, a type of volcanic glass. When fractured, obsidian can create an edge that is hundreds of times sharper than a modern surgical scalpel, down to the molecular level. They also used finely crafted flint blades and even sharpened seashells. These weren't crude hacking tools. They were precision instruments. Recreations have shown that with steady hands and immense skill, these primitive tools could carefully scrape or cut away bone without shattering the skull or damaging the delicate brain underneath. The skill required is simply mind-boggling. They were performing neurosurgery with rocks. What's even more incredible is that this wasn't an isolated phenomenon. Archaeologists have unearthed trepanned skulls all over the globe, from the windswept highlands of Peru to the ancient river valleys of Ukraine, from French burial sites to African plains. In some areas, like a famous site in France, nearly one-third of the skulls found showed signs of trepanation. This raises a fascinating question. Did these completely separate cultures all independently discover the complex art of brain surgery? Or was there some kind of prehistoric information highway, a shared network of medical knowledge that spread across continents? The patterns are too similar to be a complete coincidence, suggesting a deep, shared human drive to understand and heal the brain. But why were they doing it? Was it always for medical reasons? This is where the story gets even more mysterious. Many experts believe these early surgeons were not just doctors, but also shamans or spiritual leaders. In many ancient cultures, ailments like severe headaches, seizures, or mental illness were believed to be caused by evil spirits trapped inside the head. The logical, if terrifying, solution? Create an exit. Trepanation could have been a dramatic ritual, performed with chants and ceremony, to release these malevolent forces and purify the soul. It was a fusion of medicine and magic, where healing the body and cleansing the spirit were one and the same. They weren't just operating on a patient. They were battling demons. Skeptics might dismiss this as spiritual guesswork, but the scientific evidence for their medical genius is undeniable. The high survival rates in some regions, over 70%, prove these weren't hacks. To achieve this, Stone Age surgeons must have had a practical understanding of anatomy. They knew exactly where to cut to avoid major blood vessels and the most sensitive parts of the brain. They likely used natural antiseptics, like mosses or tree sap, to prevent infection, and herbal remedies to manage pain and swelling. We even have modern neurosurgeons who have looked at these ancient skulls and expressed pure astonishment. They recognize the precision and care, admitting that performing such a procedure, without modern anesthesia or tools, is an almost superhuman feat. Let's focus on one incredible story, written in bone. This skull, found in Peru, tells the tale of an individual who underwent not one, but multiple successful trepanations. You can see the different stages of healing, indicating surgeries performed at different times in their life. Imagine the trust this person must have had in their healer. To go through this incredibly risky procedure once and survive is a miracle. To willingly undergo it again speaks to a profound belief in its power to heal. This skull isn't just an artifact. It's a testament to human resilience and the powerful bond between a patient and their doctor, a bond that stretches back thousands of years. It's the story of someone who stared death in the face and, with the help of a Stone Age surgeon, walked away. But there's a darker, more intense side to this practice. Was trepanation always about healing? Some evidence suggests it could have been a ritual of a different kind, a rite of passage, or a way to mark someone as spiritually powerful. In a world without writing, the body itself was a canvas. A healed trepanation scar would have been a permanent, visible sign of an individual's extraordinary journey. It signified that they had endured immense pain and come close to the spirit world, emerging stronger and transformed. This wasn't just about surviving an operation. It was about achieving a higher state of consciousness, proving one's strength, and wearing the mark of that power for all to see. Pain, for our ancestors, wasn't just something to be avoided. It was a pathway to enlightenment. You might be thinking this is all just a strange part of ancient history, but you'd be wrong. The core principle of trepanation is still used in neurosurgery today. The procedure, now called a craniotomy, involves drilling a hole in the skull to relieve pressure on the brain caused by swelling from a traumatic injury or a tumor. Of course, we now have sterile drills and advanced anesthesia, but the fundamental idea is identical to what those Stone Age doctors were doing 10,000 years ago. They correctly identified that pressure on the brain was dangerous and that creating an opening could save a life. The science that guides a modern neurosurgeon as hand has its deepest roots in the wisdom of our ancient ancestors. This all leads to a tantalizing, almost unbelievable question. Did ancient humans possess a sophisticated body of medical knowledge that we have since lost? When we look at the evidence-successful brain surgery, knowledge of anatomy, potential use of antiseptics and anesthetics, it challenges everything. We thought we knew about the Stone Age. We see them as primitive, but could they have understood the human body in ways that we are only just beginning to rediscover? It forces us to wonder what other secrets they knew. What other lost knowledge vanished with the collapse of their cultures, waiting to be unearthed? So the next time you think of the Stone Age, don't just picture a hunter with a spear. Picture a healer, working by the flickering light of a fire, holding a patient's life in their hands. They were the first in a long, unbroken line of healers, stretching from that dusty Neolithic camp all the way to the gleaming operating rooms of today. That first brave act of cutting into a skull to save a life wasn't just an operation, it was a spark. A spark of curiosity, courage, and compassion that lit the way for thousands of years of medical discovery. Humanity's quest to understand and heal ourselves is our oldest story, and it's a legacy we still carry with us. Thank you so much for joining me on this incredible journey back in time. If you found this as fascinating as I did, please hit that like button and subscribe for more stories that challenge what you think you know about the past. We'll see you in the next one.